Good morning, Inspire and Illuminators. It is me, Jennifer Engel, CEO and founder of Inspire and Illuminate. And today I want to talk about projection. What is it? Why do we do it? And how does it affect those around us? This is something that I've been thinking and meditating about or upon for quite a while, as most of my topics are. And a lot of us do this unconsciously. We don't even realize we're doing it. So first, I'm going to talk about kind of how I see people a little bit. Okay? And I'm also going to give a disclaimer. I share my thoughts and feelings not because I'm trying to convert anybody, just because I appreciate when other people share their thoughts and feelings with me. Because sometimes it gets me to see the world in a different way, a more expanded way. Sometimes I might take their thoughts and feelings and incorporate them into my own understanding of how the world works. And sometimes it is simply just to say, that's an interesting point of view, and I might not agree with it. And all of that is okay. So again, I simply share these things just to possibly open up someone's mind, maybe get them, to see the world in a different way. And whatever resonates with you, like, oh, that could be true, then use it. And if you're like, wow, that sounds like a bunch of malarkey, then lose it. It's all good. All right, so if you've been following me at all, and even if you haven't, when people come into my life, there are a couple things that I think about. If they are my physical reality, sometimes, not all the time, I ask myself, what part of me are you? Okay? Because I believe people don't show up in my physical reality unless we are kind of, I guess, new age people or whatever, call it vibrating at the same frequency or something like that. Anyway, that's kind of difficult to describe. But anyway, so on one hand, I might ask that. But on the other hand, I know and understand that they are their own individual person. So let me explain. When someone comes into my reality, I see them like everybody else sees them. I experience it in some ways the way most people experience it, as their own individual self. Okay? But what I've also come to understand, and to be honest, it was the movie Contact, by Jodie Foster in the 80s that really helped me understand this, along with many, many other things. So if you don't know that movie, Jodie Foster is a scientist. She's trying to listen for alien life, if you will. Eventually, she finds out how to make a spaceship. She believes she travels through space, a black hole or a wormhole or something, and ends up on an alien planet. Now, this alien planet looks a lot like her childhood home. And the first being that comes to her is her deceased father. So at first she thinks it's her father, but then she realizes it's actually this alien being, if you will. And he says to her, well, she finally figures it out. She says, "You're not my father." And he says, "No, But we have found that approaching people as someone familiar is a lot easier for them to understand and, feel comfortable. And he says this is the way we've been doing things for billions of years. Okay? Now, in this third-dimensional reality, this physical reality, we are exactly who we are. But I also see people as mirrors. Okay? What I understand is beyond the physical reality. I don't even like to call it light beings. That's what most people call it. But it's so much more than light. It is almost like a vibration, a vibrational wave that expresses itself as light and sound and eventually physical form. This light and this sound kind of like gathers the material around it that it forms around it. And when I go deep, deep, deep into my subconscious or meditation, that's why I don't like to call it light. Because to me, a lot of times it's actually the absence of light. Light is only a small fraction of what source is. All right. So we have these electromagnetic waves that we create from our experiences and beliefs. And they resonate at a certain pitch. And scientists are starting to actually confirm this. There's an institute called HeartMath. They're finding that our brain is actually a much weaker electromagnetic signal than our heart is. That's why they say follow your heart. It actually puts out a huge electromagnetic wave. And if you can relax enough, that is actually the universal language that everything speaks. Feeling. And we can actually pick up on that language whenever we are with or around something. That's actually where telepathy comes from. Not the mind, but the heart and the feeling. So everyone can do telepathy. You know it. We call it our gut instinct. So universal communication isn't specific, it's general. We get this general feeling of something is good or bad or whatever, everything in between. All right, projection. What does this have to do with projection? So, my understanding, our energy, and I think it can flow both ways, to be honest. I think some energy flows from our feet, up our spine, out our head. We are actually like film projectors. Our heart is actually projecting a certain frequency. And everything around us is actually like this great big mirror. And that's why we all see the world so differently. We see it through our eyes, our perception, our feeling. And what can happen is when, let's just start with two people. When two people come together, their frequency will either harmonize like a nice song. If you can kind of see each person being like an instrument, or it will sound pretty bad. Because here's my understanding. When people are harmonized, they are in love. And I don't mean in love like, Cinderella Disney love. I mean, they are in the frequency of compassion, truth, clear perception. They are actually not. Well, they're still projecting, but they're projecting higher states of consciousness with each other. Okay? But when the harmony becomes disharmonized, they are projecting lower states upon each other. Now, sometimes someone might be in a higher state and someone might be in a lower state. Basically, it's whose ever feeling is the strongest at the time, whether it's the lower state or the higher state. You can kind of think of it as whichever instrument is the loudest at the time is what's going to be experienced and heard. Now, when someone's in a higher state and then someone else is in a lower state, that lower state can bring the other person down. And I think the quote here is misery loves company. People in a lower state are maybe jealous or whatever, people in a higher state, and so they bring them down with them. People in a higher state whose vibration feeling is really high, and some people are good about this. I'll be honest, I'm not one of them. I'm really good at being in a higher state, but if I'm around someone who is in a lower state, I have a hard time keeping my vibration high. This is more true for people who are closer to me than farther away. If I'm around a student who might be in a lower state, I can hold my vibration high and I can alchemize, I don't know how to say that, but almost retune the feeling in the room. I've been able to do this for a long time. We are all able to do this. It's not just some hokey pokey new age crap. In fact, in psychology, it's called co-regulation. That's why a lot of times now we have students who have disabilities, autism, Down syndrome, whatever, have instructional assistants, or even better yet, peer mentors who kind of do things with them because they are co-regulating them. Okay? And I've noticed this with students who are agitated. If they're a little agitated, it just takes me about 15 minutes sitting next to them, saying absolutely nothing. If they're highly agitated, it takes about 45 minutes. And there may or may not be verbal cues, and there are some strategies. Like I may give a verbal cue, hey, I'm here if you need me, let me know if you're ready to talk. And I might give them a little bit more space, because when people are highly agitated, they feel like animals who are trapped in a corner, and you don't want to make them feel like that even more. So space is good. Sometimes someone's so agitated, the only way to get through to them is non-verbally. That's where paper and pencil helps a lot. If you have something, write it down, or a text message. You can actually change someone's state non-verbally. And then you can slowly move closer and slowly get them to come out of their subconscious corner, if you will, and eventually talk to you. So projection is where we have our heart and our feeling, and we are projecting it onto the person in the room with us. Many times, people don't even know they're doing it. You know, sometimes I watch people and they wonder, like, why is this a battle? Why am I getting such a rude tone back? And I don't say anything, but it's like, did you listen to the tone you used with that other person? They're just reflecting back what you're giving to them. So if someone's in an agitated state, the more calm you can be, watch it. The more calm and non-emotional you can be, the more they will start to reflect back that tone. It may take a little bit of time, but it works. Okay? I have found more often than not that compassion tones de-escalate situations. So projection is where when we walk into a room, we project ourselves onto that other person. Our expectations of who or what that person is, our beliefs on how we should interact with each other, and then it just kind of plays out to be true. But if we change our perception about people, if we change our beliefs, if we even let go and just try to stand back and see who or what they really are instead of who or what we think they are, then we might even start to get a clearer view. So I talk about this because so many people don't realize that they are just walking movie projectors, putting their expectation and beliefs on everybody else. Sometimes they wonder why they are getting a certain experience back. And this is the explanation, to my understanding, as of why. What you believe will come true. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So if you want to have a good experience with someone that you've had a bad experience with in the past, change your thoughts and your beliefs about them. Okay? The other thing is sometimes we can see projection as negative, but again, you can flip the script and you can make it positive. Maybe that person isn't the best version of themselves, but you can start telling them a higher version of themselves and watch them start to match it. Okay, so we can use projection unconsciously or consciously. We can use it in a negative manner or a positive manner, just like everything else in our life. And I'll tell you one last thing about projection. It's a symbiotic experience. A lot of times I've been talking, making it sound like it just comes from you. But all relationships, all experiences are a two-way street. And the way that I see it is almost like this infinity loop around each other when you're in the same room. The energy goes from that person to you, around you, back to that person, and so on and so forth. It's a circuit. And you can either grow the power of that circuit, that experience, negatively or positively. It's a choice. And some circuits to change will take time. It's not a one and done thing. Okay? It takes a long time to rewire a new path in our brains about who we think we are or who we think others are. And so the more experiences you can have and practice first realizing that you're projecting, but even before you go into an experience with another person, think about, what is my intent in here, in this space? Because it's a lesson for both of you. Either how you handled the situation well, or you didn't. And if you didn't, how could you fix it next time? If you actually start to wake up and become aware. If you don't wake up and become aware that you are projecting, whether you know it or not, you can't change. But the moment you understand you're doing that, then you can say, aha, here's what went well, here's what didn't go well, and here's how I can fix it. I hope that this talk has helped someone today so that you can use your own projections, feelings, to first help yourself, and then help those around you. Oh, one more thing before I go. Obviously, I was talking about one person and two people, but this applies for everybody in the room. So the more people you have in a room, in a stadium, in whatever, the larger, the louder that feeling and experience is going to be, and the more intense. So, before you participate in large group experiences, think to yourself, is this a feeling or vibration that I want? How does it make me feel? Does it make me more or less functional, not just in that moment, but over time? All right, I hope this talk has helped someone today so you can use your own thoughts and feelings to first help yourself and then help others around you. Because now more than ever, the world needs it, and it needs you. Peace and blessings.